We're gonna continue the conversation.
Yeah, we won in a court of law in 2006, and what it basically says that when you deal with the Constitution, there was banks and lending institutions who funded slavery when it was illegal in America. And they were found guilty in Chicago in a three-headed court of law. And as a result of 2006, we won, but we haven't done anything about it. We've done nothing. We're just sitting here. So what I'm saying to you is that now that we won, now we have Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren. Just go up to them and say, look, it's already been decided. These banks and lending institutions were found guilty. Don't get mad at me because I support reparations. I'm only supporting what the law has already established as a result of the Constitution. Now what? Each one, teach one.
All right.
So much more.
That's right.
So much more.
Yes, and then, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Me?
Yes. You wanna come up here?
Oh, and I have the articles too. I have the paperwork to substantiate and validate the position that I just took. So I have it from the courthouse. Okay? And I have about 23 copies. With folders. Here. Here.
Hey, we got
Give it
to.
up, baby boy.
Hi, I'm Manal Bay. That wonderful guy over there is my husband. So I appreciate all of the people that came up and spoke and did their debates, and you all are wonderful individuals. Continue on with the work and the public speaking and getting your voice heard. And young man, you were the only one that had the point of view that you did, and that's okay too.
That's right.
And I appreciate that even when the judge questioned you about it, you stood on what you believed. Continue that. Your own mind is important and you gotta keep it. I just wanted to encourage you all to also go on a different type of history journey, because a lot of what I heard today is what we've been taught for so many years, and it's that we were thrown on these ships and we all came over here through slavery, and that's not true. And so I want you to dive in a whole lot deeper and realize that this is our land. This is our world. So when we're talking about reparations, it's not just the argument of giving me my due, it's giving me what is mine to begin with. And so it's not just about turning over land, it's about giving me what is mine. It's not just about money, it's about giving me what is mine. And so do your history research, really dive in, and don't just focus in on what you learn here in these United States. Do your research on how we touched down in other countries and how we affected their economies and how we built up their worlds too. And you can understand just how big and expansive we are as a people.
Because you're a member of the RDA.
That's what I'm doing.
Hello, my name is Tara Dockery, and I'm just going to suggest that, you take the opportunity and go onto the AOS101.com and look and see what's going on with the American Descendants of Slave movement. And there they have it kind of laid out on what it is that we are asking for in regards to reparations. And I'm going to say, our votes have been actually taken for granted. We have been voting for years for one party that has given us nothing in return. So we have to make all the politicians and those that's asking for the black votes what it is that you're going to give the black people, not all, and make them stand on their words. Not only is it just about money, but you can also put in policies. In 2020 is going to be the biggest wealth transfer, and it's $68 trillion, in which the baby boomers are going to transfer over to Generation X. If we don't get our reparations, we are going to continue to push our kids further in the back, and we really can't have that. So just we have to be cautious of giving our votes to politicians that don't deserve it. So is tangibles 2020 or it's nothing?
Yep.
She said what I want to say. Yeah.
All right, finally got it.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask the question of everybody, but mostly our mayor, because I know you know the answer. The things that we've been taught over the years.
Come on, can we have respect for the speaker?
Okay, all the things that we've been taught over the years since we've been here have been things that we've been conditioned to. So our mindset has been into what we've been taught, the European history and everything else. My question is, do you think that we should stop using the language that they use on us, that they use to condition us? We start changing our language more positive into what we want to say about ourselves and how we identify ourselves and stuff like that. Should we also include our language in our reparations?
Major. It's a major.
As you understand how they give us labels and tell us how to think, you know,
I think so.
and all that, so our language is very important. That was part of the step. And then my other question is, getting the educational system to accept Black history in earlier, because I feel like our young people don't get this history until very late. Now, when I was in high school, LA High, we questioned the history teacher. She was teaching us about the Tea Party. And we didn't see no Black people. She just said Native Americans and Europeans or whatever.
Actually, white people disguised as Native American.
Right. So we asked, me and another gentleman, we asked, where are the Black people? I know we right now, so, you know, we have to be there back then too, so where are the Black people? And she told us that, oh, you have to wait. You can't learn that right now. You have to wait till you get to college. And that was in high school. And we were already asking the question. So part of our reparations should be learning our African roots much earlier than college. And that's my language and education. Education is key because nobody should not know about other reparations that were given out. And I didn't learn that until late, like the young man. I didn't learn that late. But we got in trouble for asking where are the Black people. We got in trouble for asking that question, so that's mine.
Now, your first question was directed to
But I'm
Dr.
asking the question of the group here.
Okay, I thought you were asking
Language
Dr.
and,
Roses.
starting out.
Anyway, you want to answer her question?
Ebonics?
Yeah, I don't think she was talking about Ebonics. She was talking about more than that. And I see your hand.
I think she was talking about how we accept things that we didn't hand down or give to ourselves, okay? And there are some things, language is very important in the words that we choose. And that's one of the things I've been saying to the community. We need to stop saying certain things. I mean, who raised the issue that if you want something hid from the Black person to put it in the book? Who made that statement? Then why do we keep repeating it? Why do we keep repeating it? Okay, I'm gonna move on. We need to stop saying things that's negative against us.
Right.
When I hear people, I keep saying, stop making this statement to make Black folks look bad, like they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Well, one thing about it, the dollar bouncing, the Jew committed this time over here in the Chinese, and I'm saying, would you all please stop quoting that? How can it bounce if you don't own it? Oh, I didn't even say that.
That's the real church.
I'm sorry.
That's the real church. Tell the
Forgive me,
truth.
I didn't mean to say that.
No.
Let me see, how can your money bounce? You don't own the market, you don't own the gas station.
That's right.
But see, if we stop repeating what we hear other people say, it's important. Like when you hear a black man, you're my son, and you hear your father saying, well, you know, I can't do this because, you know, the white man got his foot on my neck. Well, you dad, and I'm looking up at you. If you can't get his foot off of your neck, you ain't offering me no hope at all. I'm gonna go sit down because I get mad with this kind of stuff. Okay? Stop repeating what somebody else said about us, okay? We read, right? We read and we write, don't we? Yes. Okay, so don't say that no more.
Earlier than college.
African studies should start at home, you all.
Exactly.
Stop relying on these white schools
Yes.
that teach your kids anything that's gonna benefit them, okay? If they were doing the right thing, they wouldn't get out of school not knowing how to read. Reading people taught when they were in 12th grade, teaching people how to read, and you know it have to be a design, because once you learn how to read, the scale of ignorance fall off of your eyes, and you begin to revolt, and this country is afraid of your revolt from an intellectual standpoint, because it's not with guns and with knives, it's a different way.
That's right.
Yep.
You want to comment, Joe? Okay, as soon as the young lady finishes.
Everything that the mayor said is absolutely correct, but I think not necessarily incorporating it in the conversation of reparations, because I think reparations is something that's different. I think that the ownership of language and the ownership of history will be a byproduct of us having our own communities. And so going back to starting with teaching things at home, because we should be teaching our children their own history. We should be teaching it. But if we don't have our own world, we don't have our own communities, and we don't even know, we can't teach them. So that reparations, I think, is something that is separate. That's a separate conversation as far as finances and land and ownership, because we can create our own worlds.
I have one comment on that. I'm already working with the family that she has a lot of children. She don't know her history. She cannot teach her children. So we gotta put the work in, because we got a lot of children that don't have no clue. So we gotta do that. Village raise the children, the village. So we gotta just not say, oh, start at home, because those homes are broken. So we gotta get out there and say, okay, we're gonna give this language teaching or what free, because there's too many of them that don't know.
And let me address the second question too. The part of reparations is internal. It's not just our responding to them. Part of it has to be our responding to us. Again, I'm from the South. We grew up always understanding that the most important aspect of our operations publicly was dignity. Didn't matter how poor we were, doesn't matter whether our clothes were raggedy, they were be clean. We wanted to make sure that we presented ourselves with dignity, which is what Barack Obama did. No matter what else people think he may or may not have done for black people, he didn't embarrass black people. The man made sure he laid out a case. This is what a black father looks like. A black father and a black wife with 2 black children. This is how we handle our business. The man did not embarrass black people. No scandal. He helped us stay dignified. Part of, and we can talk about some of the other stuff he may or may not have done, but anyway, in California, there's been a fight for changing the ethnic studies not major, because there was no ethnic studies major. they had a little Black History Month inclusion. Let's talk about George Washington Carver or something else. But within the last 5 years, there's been an issue about making California have an ethnic studies requirement for graduation. Most of us have not paid attention, and so other people have been involved in that discussion and not us. Right now, ethnic studies in California, that requirement is going to be Latino and Japanese American, not African American. They're leaving us out because we're not part of the conversation. In LA, with Dr. George McKenna being on the school board, we had not given him enough help to get that requirement in the LA unified. It's also been on the table. Part of our internal reparations has to be to make sure there are no conversations like that we are not part of. Otherwise, we'll have a whole other generation of people talking about teaching each other, and we don't know enough about ourselves to teach our children. We can get, and we must get involved in that discussion to make sure there is some accurate African American history that kids have to take to graduate. That's part of internal reparations. We have not done that, and that's our fault.
All I wanted to say is that if we're fighting for reparations, I believe we should change the month in which we have Black History Month, because they give us the shortest month, and everything is this month. They have the playoffs this month, and they have the Super Bowl this month. So what are we really focusing on? We're not really celebrating Black history in Black History Month. That's all I'm going to say.
That's right. Working it out.
Hopefully we want to get Black History Month every month, which is way. Now,
Every month.
in terms of the history of why February was chosen, when Carter G. Woodson came up with the idea of Negro History Week, because there was no inclusion in the history of America at all. They left us out totally except for slavery. That's our total inclusion in terms of the early history books. They wouldn't even give us the credit of being responsible for the Civil War. No, we didn't fight over you. We didn't fight over slavery. This was about white male honor. We fought each other with that. Those were the books that they were publishing and teaching. So Carter G. Woodson came up with February because of Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday, and Frederick Douglass's birthday. Frederick Douglass is not quite sure whether he was born on February 14th or not, but he chose it. He said, listen, I'm choosing February 14th. So all of that was February. That's why Carter G. Woodson chose that month. Had nothing to do with what white people wanted. He chose it. He chose the week, and the African American students took it in the 1970s and made it into a month. But changing it to another month is an idea. I would really like to change it to all 12 months. We have white history every month, why we don't have black history 1 month? Anyway, in the back. By the way, everybody who signed the roll sheet, and please, if you have not, please sign it with an email address. We're going to contact you to let you know what we're doing, and so we can expand this.
Hello, everybody. My name is Herschel L. Grimes. I'm CEO, founder, and president of the Life Group Land Interest and Future Economics. I was born and raised in South LA, 59th Street School, Horseman Junior High, Crenshaw High School, Go Cougar. And I've been knowing my economic mommy, the mayor, for about almost 20 years. Doc here, about 15, 16 years. And we've been working in the community to economically empower our people for a very long time. So I'm very proud of all of the young people that came up and spoke. I'm inspired by Africa Town and by everybody that got up and spoke. It's just really inspirational to me.
That's right.
Yeah, give it to me. The Life Group, we are a private, global, now, I can say, private, global, Bible-based wealth building community. And when I say global, I mean we're all over the world today, this day. And so we're going to be doing a lot more stuff in South LA, getting more people involved, especially since the train is coming from Crenshaw and Exposition all the way down Florence and then west to Inglewood and then up to the airport. Here's a point. There's going to be billions of dollars made in the next year and a half before it gets open. The real estate in a 5-mile radius around the train is already ticking up 40 to 60%. Our young people and our older folk and folk like me are not going to be able to afford anything in that area unless we practice cooperative economics. Now, I'm a student of Dr. Claude Anderson. I listened to Dr. Rosie for years, and it's going to be through cooperative economics that we're going to be able to purchase real estate from a position of commercial, retail, as well as residential. So I'm going to have a meeting. I'm on KGLH all the time with Dominique DePrima, so you can hear my voice all the time on KTYM, on KGLH. So be listening for that, and I want to invite you guys to come out to that meeting. We're going to talk about building a land trust so that the community can get involved, and collectively we can buy up all the property in that 5-mile radius around the train. And then we can begin to, I call it personal reparations, so that we can begin to build wealth in our community.
And I really, your hand there, right after Robbie, and then we got okay.
342.
I'm Robbie Davis, member of RUF, but I'm also on a neighborhood council, and as a result of that, we get some information that doesn't necessarily get dispensed to the rest of the community. So what I want to say to you today is, if you know anyone who lives between Vernon and north of Slauson, to the west Victoria, and to the east St. Andrews, they are in what has been termed an opportunity zone. The problem is that it's opportunity for outside developers to come in. It's a tax incentive so that they get to deposit their money in real estate and they don't have to pay tax on the first 100,000. Thereafter, they can keep turning that money over, acquiring more property, and at the end of 10 years, they won't have to pay any capital gains tax. Now, because this money has to be dispersed within 90 days of their receiving it, when they come in, they're going to make unbelievable offers. The problem is that that unbelievable offer can't even be termed to what is the actual valuation of what's going to happen to that property. In this instance, many people are going to decide to sell. They'll just be overwhelmed. But if you know someone in that area, tell them they don't have to sell, because if you can't beat them, you can join them and you can put yourself in the majority position. Because once again, they have to get rid of the money within 90 days. So if that person was in a situation where they didn't have enough income, and especially now, you've heard that they are now allowing what they call associate dwelling units. So you can turn your garage over so that you can make an income.
Fanny flats. We call them fanny flats.
Yeah, well, now that it's legal, they call it something else. But in any event, you know, it's to negotiate. If you think you need money to stay on your property, do not accept the offer. At least if you don't do anything else, call attorney, sit down with that attorney so that you can negotiate to stay in place and be majority holder of your property. You can probably buy your property back if you negotiate it, because you're doing essentially what would be the best deal would to be an LLC with them, not a partnership. So I just want to say, once again, think about it. If you know anybody in that geographic area, tell them to please stay tuned, because they are in the Park Mesa Heights Community Council zone. And we will be attempting to dispense that information so that they'll know what to do, okay? And in fact, if you sign up, there's a link, because there are more opportunity zones throughout the city. And maybe through Ruff, we can get the link to you so you can determine whether or not your address is in one of those zones.
Great idea. We don't need to lose more property. Mary, and Beverly, you still have a comment too?
Well, yes, but it's clear.
Mary has to be quick too. Come on, Mary.
The comments that she made, you know, when you say
You
teach education.
you need to deal with the microphone. I wish I could bring it to you, but I don't.
That's okay.
Yeah, you can do that one. Just turn it on.
She won't be on
My comment, I was in agreement with you about teaching the community, because there are so many divided families and so many parents who don't know anything about their history. They don't even know about civics and how the country's ran. So our responsibility goes further than just being home.
Yeah. That's what internal reparations is.
But the kids are going, I'm just waiting.
You sure? Okay, well then, y'all don't have to go home.
We know the rest. We know the rest.
Thank y'all for coming. And hotel.
Hotel.